Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully everybody can see my screen and can hear me speaking. Welcome today to Learning Upgrade Basic Training webinar. If you have a specific question, please type it into the Q&A section and I will do my best to cover it. And in the meantime, if you wouldn't mind putting in the chat section just the name of the program that you're from and the state, that would be perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna just check the chat really quick. Looks like we have people from Fayette Tech Community College in North Carolina, Lanier Technical College in Georgia, West Georgia, Skills U in Kentucky, Jefferson College in Hillsborough, Missouri, Rio Abaria Youth Build from New Mexico. All right, so great. I'm going to do my best to cover hopefully some of the basic questions on here. If you, again, have questions, feel free to type them into the chat box. So welcome, Chatham Literacy from North Carolina. Just a few housekeeping notes. Everyone is going to be on mute and will remain on mute for the duration of the call. There will be a link to review the recording. We'll send that out around about 24 to 48 hours after this. And if you have any questions that pertain solely to your program, please contact your sales rep offline to have them walk you through some of those questions. So as a part of our agenda today, we're gonna cover 4 specific areas. This first one, I'm going to just introduce you to those of you who are maybe unfamiliar with Learning Upgrade. So what is it? How is it designed? What does the lesson hierarchy look like? And what are some best practices for low level learners? Then in part 2, we're going to move on to the teacher and the student login. So we're actively going to go in and log in both as a student and then as a teacher. When we're in the teacher section, I will show you how to add students, assign and edit courses, create new courses. If you have either had a pilot and you need to know how to renew the courses, we'll go over that. And then in section 3, we'll go into managing student data, and the 4th part will be more or less support and Q&A. So what is Learning Upgrade? Learning Upgrade is an app-based learning platform that teaches adult learners English, reading, math skills from low to high levels. It now has 22 courses that cover over 1,000 lessons in 3 specific areas. And we just added an area recently entitled Digital Literacy. So now we cover English reading, math, and digital literacy. And the series uses sensory targeted songs, videos, games, and rewards to deepen learner engagement and increase learner uptake. And this has been proven to be what we call binge learning. We also have alignments to college and career readiness standards, TABE standards, and for the digital literacy, we have alignments to ISTE and North Star. So the key to Learning Upgrade is repetition to mastery, and students are guided through a lesson that includes repetition of the skill. This helps the learner to accelerate their time to proficiency. And in order to advance to the next level, students need to get 75% of their responses correct to earn a bronze medal. If they earn 90% and under 95, they earn a silver, and if they earn 95% or better, they receive a gold. They can retake the lessons multiple times to increase their scores from bronze to gold. And the platform will auto-advance students from one lesson to the next and one course to the next once they've successfully completed it. Learning Upgrade is also ideal for intervention. You can use it with struggling readers, those with issues like dyslexia, dyscalculia, learning difficulties, and special needs. When you take a look at the courses screen, you'll see details on which courses are open and available to students. So anything that has a colored ring around it means that it is open and available. And the scale of the orange around this ring will tell you approximately how many lessons are open to that learner. So in the case of this English K, you'll see that it's about 1/4 ringed in orange. That means that it's open lessons 1 to 15. If it's open a little bit more than that, it'll be 1 to 30. And if it's nearly all of the lessons -1, you'll have lessons 1 through 59 open and available to the student. The last lesson in each of these courses is lesson number 60, and it is a cumulative test of sorts that will allow you to see if that learner definitely understood all of the content in that course. And once they've passed lesson number 60, they will be moving on to the next course available to them. When you take a look at the lessons, so in this case, we're looking at English Level 1. All of the lessons are going to be delivered into small chunks to aid the learner. So unless otherwise instructed, learners begin on lesson 1 and progress all the way to lesson 60 to completion. Again, this lesson 60 is going to incorporate all of the lessons, so 1 through 59, and it will provide a level of readiness for you as a teacher. Each lesson begins with guided practice and moves to independent practice for the learner. Lessons can be administered in small group settings, individually in a class or part of a homework assignment, or used as blended learning. Lessons are scaffolded but can be used out of order depending on a learner's needs, and may be used for target instruction or to fill skill gaps for adult learners. For those of you who have low-level students, we suggest that on level K, there are lessons 1 and 2 that you have your learners skip lessons 1 and 2 at level K and move straight to lesson 3. Lesson 3 is going to start them out with learning the letters of the alphabet. The English upgrade lessons work on basic literacy skills, and so students are going to see things like the names and sounds of letters, vowels, vowel sounds and blends. You'll also find lessons on food, colors, and animals. And there are also basic literacy skills. So we're going to introduce students to some basic sentence structure, punctuation, and they'll work on listening skills and other skills like following directions, rhyming, and question words. In the reading section and the comprehension section, students will continue to be involved in more in-depth work on decoding skills, including phonemic awareness, long and short vowel sounds, specific types of words like sight words, compound words, suffixes and prefixes, along with higher level reading skills like main idea and details, character setting, and cause and effect. Once the learner progresses, learning upgrades lessons help learners delve deeper into more challenging lessons that help the learners understand the content, and they're also going to provide relevancy. So while we might be talking about the main idea, we might be talking about the main idea related to an email. For math upgrade, math prepares learners at all skill levels in a variety of math domains. The learners are going to begin with learning their numbers and progress from there to higher level skills like graphing inequalities and solving quadratic equations. Because this series chunks out the lessons, learners can learn at their own pace, review sections multiple times, become more confident and gain confidence in working in and with a particular skill. I also wanted to take just a few minutes to talk about our newest course, which is going to be digital literacy. This digital literacy content is broken down into distinct areas. So you're going to see things in there about basic functional skills like downloading an app or learning how to use Microsoft Word, communication and netiquette, finding and using information, digital culture and becoming a digital citizen, online safety and privacy, collaboration and creativity, as well as critical thinking skills. In addition, we are in production with a brand new printed support material for this series. It's going to include a printed student workbook and a teacher guide. These will be finished sometime in early 2021 and can be used in conjunction with the online series to extend content and to provide context. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how you place a learner in the series. There are two easy ways to place a learner in the series. The first is to assign the learner the placement test, either for math or for English or for both. If you already have a test or an assessment that you've given to a learner, so say that's the TABE or the CASAS assignment, it may be easier for you to place that learner into the series using the placement chart, and this can be found out on our website. So the placement chart can be found on our website. I will also send you a link in the email when we send the recording, so you can find that easily too. So one of the first pieces of communication that you're going to get from us is going to be an activation email. And in the activation email, you're going to have some pertinent information. Most of the time, this activation email is going to go to whoever has been designated as your administrator. So if you don't have an activation email and you are a director, please reach out to your sales rep and ask them for your activation information. So these three pieces of information are going to be a class code. This is a code that you can use both for self-enrollment and that will be used for teachers beyond your administration. It will also have a school ID code. So this is going to be a 4-numbered code that all your students will need to put in, whether they're activating this on the web or a mobile phone. And then you'll also have a teacher access code. So this is going to be a code that you'll use for, again, to enroll individual teachers. And we'll go over that in just a minute. This is basically what the activation email looks like. So you're going to see each of these areas highlighted on your individual activation email that you receive. I want to talk real briefly about enrolling students, and I'm going to advise you that while it's very easy to do self-enrollment, we found that it can be a little more challenging to do that when you're doing it remotely. So my suggestion to you is going to be that you auto-enroll all your students, and that means that you're going to enroll them into Learning Upgrade. Once you've enrolled them in Learning Upgrade, you're then going to send your learners an email. You can also do the email activation or the email send directly from the system itself, and I'll show you how to go in and do that. But once your learners have their activation email information, they're going to go to this blue login button. We find that sometimes students keep wanting to go into this Get Started button after they've already registered, and that just kind of creates problems because then they have multiple accounts in here and we have to marry all of those together. So once they've hit the blue login button, they're going to be asked for specific information. This is the same whether you're doing it via the web or you're doing it on your phone. So you're going to put your user name in here. There's typically an alphanumeric password that's only three characters long, and then they're going to put in their school ID. If they forgot their password, we ask that they contact their instructor to get that information. The next thing they're going to see is going to be a screen that will ask them if they are in or out of class. And this is specific to whether they are physically in class or physically out of class. So if you are doing classes face-to-face, you want your students to log in using this in-class green button. And if you have students that are primarily working out of class, you want to have them click on this out-of-class red button. This is an example of the course screen that I had just briefly talked about. This is EK, the English K level. So what I want you to do is to be sure that you have your students skip over lessons 1 and 2, and they're going to go straight to lesson 3 with alphabet basics. We found that book covers and print concepts are just a little too difficult for students at the lowest basic level. Either way, if you are logging in from a web browser, you are going to type this URL into a web browser. And we suggest that you use Chrome, but you can use any web that you would like. The address is www.learningupgrade.com. If you just type in www.learningupgrade.com, the rest of this will follow and you can easily get in. So right now, I am going to go back out and we're going to go live to the series itself, and I'm going to show you how a student is going to log in. Okay, so now on my screen, you should see the web browser where we're going to log in. You'll see where it says learningupgrade.com and the rest of this follows. This login page is the same for both you as a teacher as well as your students. Your students are going to log in using this student app login button. So once they click here, they're going to go to this blue login button. Their username and the school ID should pre-populate once they've typed this in one time. So the only thing they're going to have to do is type in their password, and they're going to go straight to the login button. I'm going to log in as if I'm out of class.
Select your course to get started.
So anywhere where all of the areas are highlighted and they're not grayed out, I can get into any one of these areas and start my course of study. So if I were to go in here to English Upgrade Level 1.
Select the highlighted lesson or press Go to get started.
I'll show you how a lesson is structured. We're going to start with something pretty easy. So letters A through I.
Here's a sentence. The cab is... Oh, what's this word? We can read this word if we know the letter sounds. The letters B, I, G say B, I, G. B, I, Big! The cab is big! Level 1 is all about the letter sounds A through I. When you reach 100 points, you're done. Let's go. Hey! You know you want this one. So let's have some fun. Give me an A. A says A says A for apple. Give me a B. B says B. B says B for boat. Give me a C. C says C. C says C for camel. Give me a D. D says D. D. D says D for duck. Give me an E. E says E. E. E says E for elephant. Give me an F. F says F says for fish. Give me a G. G says G. G. G says G for goat. Give me an H. H says H. H says H for horse. Give me an I. I says it. It for igloo. Choose the picture that matches the letter sound. What does D say?
Okay, so at that point, we've been given some guided practice, and now we're going to go into content where the learner is going to do this on their own. I'm going to show you just a couple of things on here, and then I'm going to make just one comment about using your teacher whiteboard instead of doing it this way. So I'll show you what this looks like if you get it correct, and then if you get it incorrect.
D says D for duck. You're right. What does I say? A says A for apple. Nope. One more time. What does I say? G says G for goat. Nope. One more time. What does I say? I says I for igloo. You got it.
So you see in that instance where the learner is going to get some feedback and they're going to get some encouragement as they go along. So I want to show you what this looks like if I
Select your
were
course.
to log in using my teacher whiteboard. When you log in using your teacher whiteboard, you will automatically have access to all of the content within the series, no matter the course. And it will also say that you've received gold level for each of these. I'm going to go into this digital literacy course just so you can see what this content looks like, but I want to show you how this operates, especially if you are going to use this in a remote setting.
You have a gold certificate, so you can play any level you like.
So as I entered this, I can go into any level, play any of the lessons that I want to. So if I were to go into this email one, you'll notice as soon as I click on it, I can bypass the intro, I can bypass the songs, and I can go immediately into the game if I want to go ahead and do that. We do have some programs that like this feature because it enables them to sort of skip around. So if I were to go in here and just go straight to the game.
Here's an email inbox. Read the question and use the email program to select the answer. Perfect! Tap the right answer. Nice work. What should happen here? Good job! Pick the best option for this. That's not it. The CC line is for additional addresses that will receive the email.
All right, so I just kind of wanted to show you what happens when you get something wrong. You have to then hit the continue button. So there may be some information that you're going to have to provide to your students on this. But just to show you what the teacher whiteboard looks like and how it's a little bit different. So we're going to go back to our PowerPoint really quick and go over some things before we go into the teacher section. Okay, so here are just a couple of things that we're going to go over in the teacher section, and I'm going to go over these things and then show you where they are within the course content. So again, when you log in, you're going to go to that same URL that you went into before. If you have a teacher login, then you're going to put your information in this blue box. However, if you don't have a teacher login and you are brand new to this, you're going to drop down below this blue box and go to this new user form. And when you go to the new user form, it's going to ask you to fill this in. It will automatically or should automatically pre-populate the code, but that is going to be the 7-digit code that you're going to get on your activation email. So if you don't have that code, you will need to get it from your administrator. The rest of this information is going to be information that you put in yourself. So be sure that you make this pretty easy. Either take a picture of this on your camera of your phone or write this information down so you know what your user name and password are. I suggest that if you have programs that have a lot of different outlets or you want to make a distinction if you're an administrator between where one location is versus another, and let's say you have multiple locations, or you have multiple counties that you serve, I would make sure that you put the county name in with the school name. So if, for instance, you are Lanier Tech and you wanted to put in Lanier Tech, Barrow County, then you can just go down here and hit the submit button and you'll go ahead and then you can go back out and log in. So once you log in as a teacher, you will automatically know how many accounts you have. So it will tell you your max number of students, what your current number is, and how many you have available. You'll also have 5 tabs running across the top here. So you'll have a students tab, a courses tab, a classes tab, a teachers tab, and a reports tab. And then we'll go through each of these tabs. But as just a quick little cheat sheet, under the Students tab, this is where you're going to add students, edit students, print passwords. We also have Spanish versions of how you download the app. We also have versions of content that you can email to students about how they log in. If you need to remove a license or remove a class, you can do that also under the Students tab. And currently there are a couple of reports that only are under certain tabs. This first one being the Student Monitor report that can only be found under the Students tab. And then the Student Summary report is found under the Courses tab. All right, so let me go here. I'm gonna look at some questions. Oh, you're still seeing the email screen. Hang on one sec. How about now? Are you able to see the PowerPoint screen? Okay, great. Sorry about that. I can also send this PowerPoint out too, so you'll know what you missed, but let me go back and show you this teacher registration. So on the teacher registration, if you have your information, you're going to put it in this blue box here. If you don't, you're going to drop below and click on this new user link. When you get into the new user link, that's where you're going to need that 7-digit code to type into here. And then the rest of this information is going to be all information that is pre-populated in here for you. So you're going to type this information in. I suggest making it super easy. So just type either your first initial, last name, or if you want to put your whole name in here, you can do that all lowercase. Make your password pretty easy. So if you want to keep it whatever your program name is, if you're, Wisconsin Literacy, maybe just put whatever the abbreviation for that would be. And then here in the school name, this is where you're going to put specific locations if you want to make that designation, and then you'll click on the submit button here. All right, this is where you'll see the 5 tabs and how many students you have, along with the number that are loaded in here and the number that you have available. And then this is kind of the cheat sheet that I've kind of created for what's underneath each of the tabs. So if you need to change anything related to courses, that's going to include editing and adding courses, either for one student or multiple students. If you need to remove courses for a student, or if you need to search and renew expired courses, you're going to do all that under this Courses tab. Plus, this is the one tab where you're going to run the Student Summary report. Under the Classes tab, there's really only a couple things you can do here. So you can create a class, you can edit or change the class name, you can remove a class, and you can add courses to a class. Under the Teachers tab, you're going to show all teachers using Learning Upgrade. There's also a support button under there. And then under the Reports tab, if you are not an administrator, these are going to be some of both the custom and the standard reports that you're going to want to run. So those that are designated by this little cactus, you'll see those are reports that anybody can run, and they're going to fall under the custom, and the ones with the asterisk are going to fall under the standard. So we'll go over those in just a minute. Let me just check these questions really quick. We'll get into how you assign courses in just a little bit. I have a question in here that says, can I set up a class and assign just a few lessons, not the whole course? You can do that by class, but in order to do that, you have to do 1 through whatever that number is. You can't custom select like just number 15, number 22, and number 40. And then we'll talk about, there's really not a way to lock students out of the course right now. You kind of have to open the course up. And so I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. All right, so when you take a look at some of the reports, there's a couple here that you wanna just pay attention to on a regular basis. One of them is going to be the Student Monitor report. This is basically gonna be your 30,000 foot view report of what's happening with all of your students. And this will also be a quick way for you to check to see if they're on track or not. The Student Summary report, this is found under the Courses tab. This is also a great report. You're going to find a lot of detailed information here. And then you'll also have a student session report that's going to provide an even deeper level of information for that student. So it will tell you how many hours the students played, and then you can sort that a couple of different ways, which we'll go into in a little bit as well. So if you have to report, if you need just a kind of an analysis of what reports to use for reporting hours, these can all be exported into Excel. So I would take a look at the student progress report by date, the student time report by date, the student pacing report by completion date. That's if you plan to put a completion date in there for your student, you don't have to. And then there's also going to be a student in and out of class, and that's the one that is basically self-reported for that user. Okay, we'll put together something on best practices for using the whiteboard for you, Pam. You can open any of these lessons in Zoom class or use them in a Google Classroom. You would do that the same way you would if you were going to do a Zoom and then you're just going to do a shared screen. In terms of getting student feedback, if you're gonna do that, I would probably use the whiteboard for that purpose, because otherwise you have to be logged in as a student, and that would mean that you would be taking a student account. So there is a way to keep the students' work if you remove them. So if you remove them from a class or you remove them from the system, that information is never lost. We will always have that information. So let me go over here, and I want to show you just a couple of things that you're going to see on this student monitor report and some ways to use this proficiently and to your, to your advantage. When your learner goes in here and they go into any lesson, you're going to go up here to this level sort button, and I'll show you how to do that when we go into this. Once you click on level sort, it's going to sort by the student who has progressed the most, so doing lessons 1 all the way through 60. You'll notice that down here I've blacked out these names because this is actually live data that we're looking at. But you'll notice here that this is going to tell you what course the learner is in and what their progress looks like. And so what you really want to see is going to be a nice line, or line basically of either silver or gold in here. It's okay if they have a couple of bronze levels. That means they've gotten 75%, but I would definitely check on these bronze level areas just to see how close they came to that 75%. Oftentimes we see that students have maybe tried this 1 or 2 times before they've gotten to the 75%. So it's best to kind of just keep an eye on that. Anywhere where you see a red box, that means that that student has not passed that 75%. And so that's going to be a red flag for you to take a look at. You also kind of want to see, like in the particular case of this E5, this is a lot of bronzes going across here. And you'll notice that that learner, when they took that test, this is level 60, that they took it 8 times and their highest score was 22. That's also going to be a red flag, because that means that they probably are in this level that's a little bit too high for them. So you want to drop them down maybe to level 4. You can also sort this information down here. So if you want to see it by specific course, so let's say you're only teaching math and you only want to see the math areas, you can check these buttons down here. And if you want to see all of the people that are inactive, you can click on the inactive button. You can also click on the one that shows whether or not they've earned a certificate. All the certificates are going to be listed here under this print button. And so that's also an opportunity for you to kind of celebrate your students' levels as well. I'm going to go in here to the chat just to see. Okay, I think we're good. Okay. These are just a couple of ways to use this student monitor report. So definitely you can use it to print certificates. You can also maybe use it as kind of like a bit of a leaderboard. if you want your students to be competitive with one another on here. It's also great just to show some overall progress. So you can kind of monitor what your students are doing. And then kind of, as I mentioned before, it's a great way to celebrate success. I want to take just a few minutes to talk about the student summary report. So this is the report that shows up under the courses screen. And when you go to print this, you're going to see what level the student is at, what their average score is. If they had done this multiple times, you'll see what their average high score was along with their average initial score, and it will be split by content or subject area. And I've actually split this particular report into 2 slides. So this is the top half of this report. In addition to that, what you're going to see is going to be trending lines. So these trending lines are going to show you the lowest initial level here and what the learner got at their high level. If they had completed any of the lessons within here, all of those will show up. So you'll see here that this particular learner only did 3 lessons in this challenge. And then below that, you're going to see exactly which lesson they were in, what their initial and high scores were, how many times they played, the last date they played, and how long they were in that particular lesson and how long it took for a total time on task at the bottom. To access the student session report, this is slightly tricky. So you're going to go under the student progress report by date first, and that's just located under the reports tab and under the custom reports. From there, you're going to see where you're going to get a student report by date. If you click on any of these tabs at the top that are underlined, then you are able to resort all of this data based on whatever that column is that you clicked on. So if you wanted to see first names versus last names, if you wanted to see total hours played and you wanted to resort this, you could do that here. Or if you wanted your students to be resorted by the levels that they've earned, you can resort by level using the tabs at the top. The session report goes into greater detail about where the learner has gone, how many times and minutes they've spent in here, what their scores are, what their courses are, what the lesson name was, and the type of device that they logged in on at the time that they logged in to do that particular lesson. So anywhere where you see A&D, that's going to mean it's an Android device and they logged in class. So this is that self-report where they did it on their phone, but they were in class when they did it. You'll also see in here ways in which you can kind of highlight some of these. So if you see where the scores are fairly low, so below 75%, you're going to want to take a look at those. And if you want to just take a look at a course area or name, so this is words S to Z, and this is consonant, vowel, consonant. So these are just some important tasks to keep in mind. You can see where these are highlighted. They did 3 different lessons in here, and they successfully completed these. So they got 90 to 100%. So that means that they have a pretty good grasp specifically on that. There is no limit to the number of times that a student can do a lesson. So they can do the same lesson over and over and over again. Okay. This report is the student time report by date and device, and I just wanted to show this to you. You can sort these reports any way you'd like. So if you want to do a start date, so if you're reporting this data monthly, or if you're reporting it weekly or bi-weekly, you can sort this information by your start date and your end date. You can also sort it by time. You can also sort it by last name if you want to do it that way. This one is a good one just to show you a student's total subtotal in terms of where they were in the system. And it's also a good one to show you what type of device they logged in or out of. So a WIN means that a student logged in using a Windows-based tablet or computer, and an iOS means they logged in using an iPhone. The student pacing report, if you have a student that is anxious about completing this within a certain time frame, you can put their completion date in here under this completion date. and then it will automatically tally their start date. This will tell that learner how many minutes they need to do on a regular basis in order to complete that course. And it's always going to be by course. So they can track their progress a little more succinctly by doing it this way. The student pacing report, this report can also give you some information about the hours a week if they are trying to get to bronze. They'll also have minutes related and a pacing guide here if they want to earn gold on this. We've kind of talked about this student in and out of class time, but this is also another good one that you can sort. So you can sort by hours out of class versus hours in class, and then it will also sort by total hours. And then for administrators, you do have to have an administrator's login in order to get this report. But if you are an administrator, then you can log in and you should see licensing report. This licensing report will show up under this list, and it will say school license report. When you go to get the school license report, it will tell you the total number of hours by student. You can easily remove students for low or non-performing users directly from this report as well. And it will also tell you how many hours your student has done or completed. This is also one that can be exported into Excel. Okay, so I'm going to go back out to our screen, and I'm going to now log in, and we're going to log in as a teacher user. Okay, so you should see on the screen, this is the same main teacher login page. So if I was a teacher and I had a username and ID, I can go ahead and sign in here. But if I don't, I'm going to go down here to this new user box. And my code should automatically pop in here. I'm going to put in my teacher username. I'll put in a password and confirm it. And then if I had a school name, I would type it in here. And if I wanted to make a distinction in terms of counties, I would put it here. I'm not going to go ahead and submit this, but you would go over here and just click the submit button. And then you would go back out and go back into this login section. And the next time you log in, you're going to log in with your user name here, password, and school ID. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in. Once I sign in here, you'll see where I have across the top my max number of students, how many are currently using it, and how many I have available, along with these 5 tabs across the top. A couple of support areas I just want to show you right off the bat. So if you are a teacher and you need to go and get support, you can go under the Teachers tab, click on the support button, and it will take you to an area where you can then determine which area you need. So if you need help onboarding students, if you need help managing your licenses, reporting, or administration accounts, you can check each of these. And then within each of these, you're going to see little sub areas. So if you're not sure how to log into your teacher account, you'll be walked through how to log into your teacher account, adding additional teachers, etc. That again is found under the Teachers tab, and it's the support button. The same support button is going to be located under help. So as soon as you click on help, you're going to go straight to the same area. All right, so let's go back here, and I want to start with the students tab. This video that pops up too is also one that will guide you through a couple of things. So if you're not sure how to do that, you can always access this on YouTube, but it's also available here and we'll play. So a couple of things I want to make a note of here. If you already have passwords and students that are enrolled, you can go here to show their passwords. Let me pick a class that's got some passwords. Oops, not this one. Okay, so this is a pretty large class. And if I go, I'm going to go back up here, and if I go to show passwords, it will list all of the passwords, including the one for my teacher whiteboard here. If I need to print the passwords, I can go to this print password button. You can copy and paste just this information singularly and send it to a user. If I need this content in Spanish, I can click on the Spanish button and copy and paste this and send this to each of the individual users. I can also do the same with this home guide. I can click on Spanish. And this will be a PDF version of the same thing. And I can copy and paste this and send it individually to students. So this provides a little bit more information, and this is only going to be one at a time. Okay, if you need to print a full list, you can also print this 10 to a page. I can print it 24 to a page, and then you just send it to your printer and it will go ahead and print those for you. And if I had some new students here, they would just show up under new students. Okay, let me go back here. All right, if you need to add a new student and you want to add them one at a time, you're going to go here to add enrolled or add new students. When you go in here, you'll have to wait for this uploader to load. And once that happens, you can sort this information any way you'd like. So if you'd like to sort it by last name, first name, you can sort it that way. You'll have a couple of other selections in here. So if you want to put the student's ID, you can do that too. We do have a couple of programs that have requested specific information. So that's also possible. You are able to select the grade. There is one down here for adults. So you can click on the adult tab, and then you can also check which of the courses you want your learners to be able to access. And I will tell you that any name you put in this list will be given any courses that you select over here. So I'm just going to go ahead and type in a couple of names here, and this just will give you a sense of what that looks like. Okay, so I have 3 names in here. I'm going to go over here and click the math placement test and the English placement test. It will automatically tell me what their license code is, and you don't necessarily have to select the username or password fields unless you want to make some changes to these. Otherwise, it will auto-populate in there. And then you're going to go down here and you're going to click the enroll button. It'll tell you that it's loaded 3 students. 1 may be a duplicate. So I can skip that student if I want to, and then I can click done. So now when I go in here, if I wanted to find Kimball, I can type that into the search field and see that Dennis Kimball is loaded. Also, if I want to edit the student, I can go to this edit button. And let's say I know that Dennis's first language is actually German. I can select German. And if I know that he has any special needs, I can select any of these special needs if I know what those are. Otherwise, I can just select none and go to update student. So now I have my students already loaded in here. From the students tab too, you can also start your teacher course or the teacher whiteboard. Just be sure that you actually have a teacher whiteboard associated with the class in order for that to take place. I want to show you really quick this student monitor report. So we're going to go in here and take a look at that. This does take some time to load, especially if you have a pretty big class. And you'll see here that it's loading. It also has a course progression bar down here. Okay, and once this is loaded, I can go to the level sort and I can kind of see what all my learners have been up to. If you see any of these red bars, like I mentioned before, you can hover over them and it will tell you what area of the content the learner was working in, how many tries, and when the last date was that they played it. So again, you can see pretty distinctly where the learner was. So this learner had 2 tries on this and only made a 54. Also, if you wanted to print the certificates, they are going to pre-populate with the learner's name. Feel free to print them on hard stock if you want to. And then also, we kind of talked about sorting that data. So going over to courses, if you need to add a course to a learner, I find it's easier to do it from this courses tab. So I'm going to find our new person, Kimball. I'm going to add a course for this learner. And from here, you can select courses. So I can select English Upgrade, click Enroll in Course. And if I want to edit this, so let's say I want to edit his courses, I'm going to go either here to this edit button or go up to edit courses. And let's say I want to set his level to 30. This means that he'll be able to see all of the lessons 1 through 30. Then I'm going to click on this set marked level. Let me find Kimball first. Let's see. Kimball. And he's now been updated. So if I were to go back to this teacher menu and go to courses and find Kimball, I'll see that his English upgrade level 30 or level English upgrade 1 is now set to level 30. So you can't change the placement tests, but you can change any course that's in here. So let's say for this, for him too, I also wanted to add, let me go back here. let's say I also wanted to add a course for him, and let's say I wanted to add the digital literacy course. You can add this digital literacy course to multiple students if you'd like. And you do that just by checking this box next to their names. So I'll find Kimball. And then go add course to marked. So now I know that they've all been updated. I'll go back to the courses menu, and I also want to show you expired courses. So if you had participated in a pilot, or if you'd participated, or if you are switching from one account to another, it may be that you're going to have to do the show expired button, and these will all show up in red. So if you have a learner whose course is expired, you're just going to click on this renew button and renew to full course. And that way, if for some reason they weren't able to get into the course before, they should be able to get into the course now. And you'll need to do that individually by course. Also in the courses button, if I wanted to remove a learner from here, I could find the learner and click remove, and I'll remove their course, meaning that I'm going to remove that course from the learner. So let's say they completed this course. I'll remove courses from that learners just by clicking on the remove button. And if you need to renew it, you can just go back to the renew button and do the same thing. Also from here, I'm just going to look for one where I know I have some information in this. Also in here, you can see where a learner had last played one of the lessons. This is also where you go and you can click on this report button, and it will take you to the student summary report. And that student summary report, again, will show you where their initial score was, and if they had a high score, it would also show up here. So you're going to get some additional information about that learner here. And this is just kind of a good, report to be able to use for a coaching session with your student. Classes is pretty easy. You're just going to go over here. You would type in your class name, and hit create. And now this class is created. If I wanted to add courses to this class, I could add whatever courses I wanted to it. So let's say I wanted to make this a pre-algebra class. I'll add that in here. And let's say I also wanted to put in a GED class. I can go in here and search for GED and add that to that course as well and update. The reports tab is where you're going to find a number of these reports. So we've kind of gone over a couple of these, but this is the reports tab. You just need to make sure that you have selected the class that you want for the data to show up. So this is the student progress report by date. I can click on here, go to hours played. It'll resort this by those learners who have the most hours played. Or if I wanted to sort by first name instead of last name, I could click on first, and it will sort by first name. Also under the reports tab, you'll have the student time report. So again, just be sure you're under the right class. You can also copy those and send them to an Excel spreadsheet. This is the pacing report. So again, if you've put a completion date in here, it will pull up any learner that has that as their completion date. And the last report is going to be the student in and out of class report. So if you wanted to see this by total hours, you could change the structure of this report and it would pull up anybody who's got the most number of hours at the top, or you could do it by hours out or hours in. So I'm gonna just suggest that you play around with some of these other reports. You'll see if you want a student summary report, that it'll be by teacher, and then you will be able to see what teachers have the most number of students that are actually working in the series. So I am gonna stop here and just check questions. I want to be sure we answer some of these questions. So Pam, did we get to all your questions related to courses and setting courses for students? There are a couple of ways that you can do that. If you want to just put in the chat box, yes or no, that would be great. Otherwise, I'm gonna, if there are no more questions, I hope this was helpful today. Let me see. Okay, so I'll go over again how to set a student's course. Once you've loaded your students in here, so you're gonna have to load your student in first. You can add courses by going to this add courses. You can also edit courses. So if you go to the edit courses tab, let me see, I'm gonna pick our new student here. All right, so if you go to the edit student tab, you'll see here where the student levels are marked. Now, if I wanted a student that, let's say I didn't want them to be able to go to all the way to lesson 30, I only wanted them to go to lesson 15, I can check this box here, set this to number 15, and then click on set marked levels. And once that's done, you'll see now where that level has been dropped down to 15. Now I can't select specific lessons for the learner. I can only open them up 1 through whatever that number is. So if I don't want it to be level 60, I can go in here. I can change this to say 5 and click on set marked level. And now if you look at the level, it's set at level 5. Let me see, I'm going to see if there are any more questions. Yes, I would say that for a non-English speaking or reading student, this is pretty easy to navigate in the very beginning. You will need to provide them with instructions about how they log in. That's where we find that students have the most trouble, but they're going to start at the very basic level, especially if you put them in EK level 1. And I would only allow them to progress 1 lesson at a time in that respect, especially for your lowest level non-English Hispanic readers and speakers. If you don't automatically give a course set level, it will automatically set it to level 1. So you really can't fail in that regard. I'm going to go back to our PowerPoint really quick. This is contact information. So if you are in any one of these 5 states, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and Tennessee, I am your sales rep. You can reach me at kwelch@proliteracy.org or 404-580-1563. If you are in any of the other states, please click on this link or go to our website, and you can find your sales rep there too. One quick thing before we leave here, I'll show you where some of this information is out on the website. So if you are going out to our website, see if you're on our website, this is the main page on the website. You're going to go under this digital solutions tab. When you click on the digital solutions tab, you'll go down here and find learning upgrade. Once you click on learning upgrade, we do have some videos in here. This is where you're going to find the placement chart. All of these things are going to be in a PDF. If you need lesson lists, all the lesson lists can be accessed here. So there's one for English upgrade, math. We have separate ones for algebra and pre-algebra, reading, the GED high set, and digital literacy. Additionally, if you need correlations, those can also be found here by going to the correlations page. And you'll need to select these individually as well. We also have put out here some crosswalks to some of our other content. So Journey to Success, Lawbach, Breakthrough to Math, Math Sense, GED for Score Boost, and for High Set. There are user guides here, support is here, and then the digital literacy course is now a separate tab. So if you need to see kind of the different topics we have covered along with a lesson list, you can find all of those out here on the website. And feel free to print these off for yourself and your colleagues. I'm going to check this. All right, so if there are no other questions, I want to thank you again for your time today. And feel free to email myself or your sales rep if you have additional questions. And then we will also get this video out to you probably tomorrow. So thank you again for your time, and everybody have a wonderful afternoon.